spilling all the beans. TJ and Campbell, interesting to blood clot, live on YouTube. You have to check them out.
Welcome back to Akbarapa. This is Campbell.
This is TJ.
Welcome again for another exciting episode. How is your week going?
It's going fantastic. I've just got a new contract.
Ooh, yeah.
It's just to let everybody know. I started applying for jobs I had no business applying for.
Right.
And in the background, working on the things that I thought would help me get those jobs, little certain certifications, qualifications, etc.
Right.
So I've went from earning what I would earn in a week in a day. Now that I've got this contract. And it's manifestation, but it's like, first of all, see it and say it and put it up on your vision board, and that's the manifestation part. No, the manifestation is also the hours and hours and hours of hard work and interview strategy and studying that I did. When you put it all together, that's when it's invincible. So
big up yourself, bro.
Celebratory mood. I went out last night.
Yeah.
Go out in tonight.
Yeah.
And then bank holiday on Monday, and then get into my first day on Tuesday.
That's it. Big up yourself, bro. Really happy. Congratulations. And I knew about this. I just didn't follow up because I don't want to be those guys that are like, yeah, I'm checking up, and then it's just creating more pressure. You're gonna say it once it's done, but I knew you were gonna, own this. And yeah, bro. Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah, so let me just say the next thing.
Okay.
I don't know how to do the job.
Exactly. Well, we don't want them to hear this confession, so it doesn't matter. You got the job.
But yeah, I got the job. What I'm saying is, like, don't let that stop you. I mean, within reason, but don't let that stop you. I mean, I'm going to figure it out on a job. And all of the successful people I know that I took advice from all put themselves in this position where they got a job that they were like underqualified for, and they figured it out. So on a very, very, very slight tangent, there is all sorts of reasons why there's a divide between men and women in the workplace.
Right.
And when you look at it, a lot of it has to do with the sort of personality traits.
Right.
And women tend to be less aggressive when they negotiate.
Right.
And they also tend to be high in the personality trait neuroticism.
Could you just explain what neuroticism means?
These guys are
negative emotion.
Okay.
Like negative self-emotion. I believe. Hold on. Neuroticism.
Guys, I just want to welcome everybody, our new subscribers. We got new subscribers in the building. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much.
We are so happy that you've joined us. Hopefully we won't get cancelled today.
Hopefully we don't get cancelled, but as usual, I'm going to have to ask you guys to go on and click that bell button and click on the notifications so that you don't miss no episodes. You don't miss us from the very beginning, because we are dropping pearls from the very beginning to the very end. Subscribe, click that notification button. Sorry, bro. Go on.
So neuroticism is a trait that reflects a person's level of emotional stability.
Right.
And I'm not plucking this neuroticism thing and pushing it on women or pushing it on anyone. There is a studied science called the Big Five personality traits. One of them is neuroticism. And men and women rank differently in general on these traits.
Right.
So if you're
TJ
high
and
in
Campbell.
neuroticism, meaning you're high in, so you have, uh, you're emotionally unstable,
Mm.
Interest into blood clot.
or not that you're emotionally unstable, but you're more emotionally unstable than the average
You're more
person, or
prone to emotional, let's say, vibrations. So you
yes.
kind of express them more than, I don't know, anyone else that
I,
would might, be subject to the same treatment.
I mean, I
Live
think
on
everyone would
YouTube.
agree when
You
people say,
have to check them
women tend to
out.
be a bit more emotional, men tend to be a bit more sort of logical, or
Hey, we're going off a tangent here. We're going off a
well,
tangent. That
anyway.
that needs to be revisited because I can be very emotional, bro.
Me too, me too, me too. But
Yeah,
if, in general, if you hear anyone talking about sort of
yeah.
male versus female,
They
they
kind of
would
generalize.
generally
Yeah,
place females as more emotional, pulled by emotion more. My point is, let me tie it back.
right.
If you're high in neuroticism and you're a little bit um less prone to
Ha. Abeg go.
what is the trait? The other trait. So the other trait is
Being logical or
agreeableness.
agreeableness.
Agreeableness and disagreeableness is another
Okay,
one of the traits.
right.
So if you are very uncomfortable when
Ayé rẹ̀ yóò
when
dàrọ̀ tó gbà
when
bí mo ṣe sọ.
people, if you're willing to say and do things that would cause someone to
Kò
maybe
ní
look
rí
at you
bákan náà
negatively,
mọ́.
the less you care about it
Yeah.
is the higher you rank in disagreeableness.
Mm,
So if you rank
mm.
high in disagreeableness
Right,
and low in neuroticism,
right.
you basically are more aggressive, and that is a better predictor of success in interviews.
So low in neuroticism and high in and low in being agreeable.
Yes, because
Right.
you're willing to
Push over other people.
negotiate hard.
Right.
You're willing to negotiate hard. So they offered me a figure for the job, and I
Right.
automatically knew that I was going to ask for more
Right.
but I think that if you're high in neuroticism and you're low in disagreeableness,
Yeah.
you might just say, "Oh wow, I'm happy with that," and then you take that,
They
and
just
then
yeah.
that starts playing into. So in general, women are higher in neuroticism and lower in disagreeableness. They're nicer people, basically.
Right.
So, but that plays out well. That plays out fantastic when we need to be nurturers for our family.
Right.
But it doesn't play out well when we're negotiating in a high competitive environment like the job market.
That was interesting to know. Let's jump straight to today's topic.
Go for it.
Is homosexuality foreign to Africans? Exclamation mark.
I don't know. Tell me, what do you think?
So I would say it isn't, and I will come with receipts. Right.
Okay, I'm listening.
I'm gonna set the table here by telling the audience a bit of my experience. So I grew up in Italy and I attended a boarding school. Now, this boarding school was just for Africans. I don't think it was done intentionally, but the founders of the school were Africans, British Africans, right? And
Italian boarding school just for Africans.
yes, but they came from England to Italy to establish this boarding school. So it was basically running an African system.
Okay.
Okay. We spoke English. We were literally doing
Get the cane.
belts. Yeah. All of that.
Wow.
And this was in Italy. This was back in the 90s. So I started in the 90s. And my last day was in June 20. 2003, I believe. Yeah, 2003 was my last
2000.
day. Right.
Okay.
So this was an African boarding school run with African principal, super Christian. We're talking about super Christian. You woke up in the morning, you did your quiet time, you did your devotion. This was a collective thing. So you went into a hall, did your devotion. Everyone was just praying, praising God, kneeling down, crying to God. And then you went on to do assembly. And an assembly, you'd have to say your pledge. And I don't want to name the school
Oh my
so that I
gosh.
don't.
So this was like you going to camp, but
This
it was
is
every day.
this was a boot camp, and we stayed there. Oh, I forgot to say this. We stayed there 3 months. So it was every is it quarterly? We would go
Yes.
home for about a month. We'll stay 3 months, and every quarterly, that's it. So you can just imagine how fun it was, right?
It wasn't fun.
So I would say in certain aspects, it gave me the character that I have today. So jungle justice, you can survive anywhere or more. You can survive there's no place you cannot survive after you finish this school, this intensive program.
Was
And
was there any like there's a lot of stories about boarding schools where it's like there's bullying going on,
oh,
there's
it is
hierarchies.
the bullying was to the roof. I'm not even exaggerating it. It was proper bullying, and there were. I wasn't the youngest kid. The youngest kid was 7 6 7 years old. So you can
Right,
just imagine. Yeah, when I started it, it was just about a handful of kids. So like 6 or 7,
right.
and the youngest was 6. The oldest was 15. So bullying was the order of the day. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There was a hierarchy. You had to
Was
commit
it
to
males
it.
and females or
Now, this is where it gets interesting. They had 2 hostels. So there was a boys' hostel and a girls' hostel. This was separated. We did not meet. Being of a Christian, African Christian background, you can imagine how strict this principle was.
yeah?
Like if you were caught lipsing some gyal because of whatever reason, you're getting flogged. And it went in increments of 6, 12, 18. Omo, Charlie, this place was, I don't know how they still operating till today. They still operating. There's parents that are signing up their kids every single day to this institution.
Well, I
It is
mean,
what it
you
is.
take. I doubt that Italy's probably. I mean, now in the UK, it's against the law to use physical punishment for your child in any circumstance, I believe.
It is against the law in Italy as well, but this is African kids. Your parent has signed that they exclusively want their child to be chastised. That's the biblical word. They want their children to be chastised in the African precepts. So
So it was consented upon.
the parents were 100%. My parents, my dad was 100% aware, and he even put it down that if need be, exceed the minimum dose. All right. If the boy is really stubborn, just yeah, make it enter his brain. So right, this is the setup: boys hostel, girls hostel. Now
Yeah.
there was this one time I was in my bed. It was kind of, I would say, this was still at the beginnings. So I would say, like my first term or my second term, there was way more kids. I'll say we're in our 50s. Yeah, 50 kids. I wouldn't be able to tell between boys and girls, but in as a whole, it was 50 kids altogether between boys and girls. Now there was this one night. There was a all night, and for those listening, an all night is when Christians meet to just pray all night. That's literally what it means. So you go into, we used to call it the dungeon, right? All these
Right.
older kids will go into the dungeon and you pray, bind the devil, bind, loose. That's all you're doing. Okay. So this one night, I wasn't old enough. So I was 9 years old at the time. I wasn't old enough to go into the dungeon to pray with the older kids and the principals, the uncles and aunties, So I had to stay back in the hostel together with the younger kids. It's kind of like I wasn't old enough to be there, but I was old enough to look after the younger kids. Okay. So I'm just in my bed, just chilling, just thinking about my stuff. And I'm hearing these kids just chirping. Something is going on. They're, just shuffling.
You're hearing commotion.
Is going on, bro? Like they're fighting. At first, I thought they were fighting. So, and we're sleeping on bunker beds. So I'm on the bed on top.
Right.
So I just, what's all this nonsense now? So I turn over, looking down, and I'm seeing some madness going on, bro. These kids are doing the maddest thing ever. Okay. For the sake of privacy, we're not going to name the school and everything. And these are kids, like I said, the youngest was 6. They are doing it all, bro. Like oral. It's just some nastiness. Okay. And I knew that wasn't normal, but it was fun to watch.
Okay, wait. You were how old again?
I was 9.
So you're 9.
9.
And how old are the kids? And how many kids are there?
They're all younger than me, and I would say there are about 6 kids. Just doing what they're doing.
Okay, so there's 6 kids, and they're all younger than you.
They're all younger than me. All African kids, all younger than me. This is all African kids born in Italy, by the way.
Italian Africans.
Yes. So
you're how old? 9.
I am 9 years old.
So these
kids are younger than me. They are.
Hold on. And there's no girls there.
Bro, like I said, there are 2 hostels. There's a boys' hostel and a girls' hostel. The girls do not mingle with the boys. You cannot, if you are caught in the boys' hostel, you are getting 6 lashes, hot ones on your back. You cannot go to the boys' hostel for no reason. There is no interactions between boys and girls unless it's scholastic times. So unless you're going to the dungeon to pray or to study, and we're using a PACES system. The PACES system is basically you get handed out these books that have all your modules for that week or whatever, and it's self-paced. PACES self-paced. So you do them through the week. Where you complete that, you do a test on that, and then you go on to the next, the higher level of PACES. So that is the only time we kind of mingle. Other than that, everyone's in their respective hostels. Okay, so back to the story. These kids are doing this madness, and I knew it was wrong. Like there's something odd with it, but it was fun to watch. So I was just watching, and then I got down from my bed, and I said, "Do you know what you guys are doing? Like, do you know what I was like the oldest one and the smartest among them. I said, "Do you know what you lot are doing?" And they're like, no, we don't know that. And I said, that is sex. Right? None of them knew what that was.
What do you mean they don't know? They know what they're doing.
I can't tell. I can't tell because they were so young. Like I said, the youngest was 6. Okay? And they are doing whatever. And I said, look, what you lot are doing is called sex. I said the word in Italian. In Italian, the word is sesso. Okay, you guys are doing sesso. State facendo sesso. And I said, yeah, that's what. But they were doing like fellatio as well. That is, they were sucking each other's dick. And I just like, where did you see that from? And some of them were saying, oh no, I saw it like somewhere else. And they were all saying some mixed things. And just by miracle, the older boys just bumped in. It's like they were coming into the hostel. So you could hear the footsteps up the stairs. And everyone went into their beds. Everyone went into their bunker beds. Everybody went into their bunker beds, and that's it. And now the next day, one of the younger kids was interrogated by one of the older kids. So like around, I would say around 14 or 15. He was interrogated by this kid, and he was asked, what were you doing? What were you guys doing that you were all in this one room? You know, some kids did not belong to that room. They had to go to other rooms. So there was a bit of you know how you just meet someone that doesn't belong where he is, and you're like, what the hell? But I'll ask him tomorrow. So they asked this kid, and they were like, oh, Campbell said we were doing sex. And one of the kids said, what? You know, the older kid said, what? Are you sure? Do you know what you're doing? Like, what are you talking about?
Campbell said,
that's it. I'm like, so growing up, I've always been like Prometheus, stealing fire from the gods and getting in trouble when people are already doing their madness. Right? So now come and see trouble. Say, come back. Now it became Campbell was doing sex. I said, So I called the group of boys, and I was kind of very nervous, but I'm 9, so I don't even have the words to. And there's something about me, I really don't like grassing. So I just brought them together, and I was like, are you guys mad? Are you out of your brain? You know, what's going on? And I don't remember what happened after then. You know, I kind of lost track of the situation, went to play. Next thing, that same evening, I was called into the principal's hall. So the main madame, yeah, she's there. Apparently, one of the older boys had reported me that I was teaching the kids how to have sex. Mate. So I'm there, and they're asking these kids, how do you know this word? Like, how do you even know this word? And they said, oh, yes, Campbell told us. And it's like, what were you guys doing? And they went silent. So then I spoke. I said, look, I was on my bed, and I looked down, and I saw these guys doing XYZ. They were lip-syncing, sucking, kissing, doing all of that. And the teacher was like, so then you told them what they were doing. You know, you gave a label to what they were doing. I got beat the most out of all those kids, right? End of story. Okay? Now, back to our title. Who taught these kids what they were doing?
An older kid.
My furthest.
Curiosity.
That's it. Curiosity. That is literally the end of it. And what I think is that a lot of these kids are not, you know, you can't label them at that age. There's no way you can label them as gay, bisexual, heterosexual, or, you know, whatever.
Well, some people would disagree with you with that.
And this is where, you know, I would step in like firmly and say a lot of these kids, if given the chance, because we were under very strict circumstances where, you know, you couldn't even talk to a girl like in private because it was seen as abomination. Some kid will report you and get snacks. Do you understand? There was a reward and punishment system as well if you grasped on kids. The biggest sin, I would say, in that environment was fornication. Touching, kissing other girls. That was so bad. So if you told on other kids that were doing that, especially between boys and girls, oh, you were a saint. You were going away with murder in that environment. So what I believe, and then I'll narrate another scenario, is that if people are cut off their normal curiosities or their normal energetic flow, let's just give it energetic flow now. where you are attracted to women, okay, I think people are going to do what they do to just feel some tingle, to feel fun. They're going to start
I mean,
fondling with themselves.
how do animals know to have sex? It's like instinct, right? So
There you go. The instinct to reproduce. Yeah.
you might have a dog that starts humping a leg.
Right.
They don't, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's just this kind of slightly misdirected instinct.
Yes.
So it
Yes.
seems to me that that's what this was also.
That
Curiosity.
is definitely 100% curiosity, and if not directed properly, this is where it ends up. It becomes a habit that sticks. Now, I'm not trying to say homosexuality is a habit. I'm trying to say that there is a natural interest, there's a natural flow of energy between in every human. And by the way, this was going on with the girls as well, because I spoke to certain girls and they were telling me some madness, the same thing,
Right.
same age groups, right? So I was like, okay, but I've been thinking about this and I've been exposed to further information. Have you heard of indigo kids? Indigo
What kids?
children. Indigo children.
Yeah, like these kind of gifted, like
Exactly.
star children or
There you
special
go.
kids.
So now there's an African spiritual leader. African spiritual leader, not really, but I'll call him, one of those African shamans that every so often are able to like write a book or give testimonies of what they do and how they do what they do. And his name is Mali Damasoma. He's from Burkina Faso, right? And he talks about these kids who apparently in the world we, see as a straight, because we have gender roles. This is a world that of polarities, right? You're either hot or cold. You're either negative or positive. You can't be both at the same time. There's a contradiction there. Then, so he
Right.
says in this world, when these beings come into the physical plane, it doesn't matter whether it's a feminine spirit, a masculine spirit coming into a physical male or a physical woman. It just possesses that body because it needs to do, further what it needs to do. It's come with
Right.
its own mission, right? So he says those who come with a slightly more, let's use a politically correct word, LGBT curious orientation, these are classed as indigo children, in the words of Mali Damasoma.
Okay. Okay. Right.
Credo Mutuat is another South African Sangoma that is shaman who says the same thing. And this is because they need to have that sensitivity to the spiritual world that is only feminine.
Sorry, I don't understand that.
Right.
Who
So,
needs to have the sensitivity? The shaman.
no, these indigo children,
Okay. Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Right.
They then become shamans or, become these enlightened human beings that, do miracles,
Right.
psychics or spiritual people that are doing all these miracles and wonders. But the sensitivity to this energy is feminine.
Right.
That's it. Right. So now this is kind of, I don't know, setting the table to my argument where I would say it's not foreign to Africa. It's not foreign to the human species. It just happens. And
Right.
let's look at ancient Greece, okay? Ancient Rome. Look at anything that is in the past. It was actually an exalted state of, of society to have an homosexual tendency.
Right.
It was, we know about Emperor Nerone. He was known to be stealing people's men during Saturnalia. Saturnalia would be today's Christmas. They would have these orgies. Everybody bring your own. And yeah, Nerone was known to. So the further back we look at history, the more we see that there was kind of, I don't know, an understanding of where this came from until Christianity came through, where everything feminine, everything sensitive was then, the matriarch was just punished and women were relegated to second class citizens.
Right. So, okay.
I know
My dad,
it's a lot.
my
Right,
dad is my dad is Nigerian,
right,
as I'm sure everyone knows.
Bombaclad.
Regular followers will know.
right.
He wouldn't let me get my ears pierced or my hair braided when I was a kid. And growing up in the UK, it's like, why?
These
Like,
guys
I
are
want
spilling
braids, I
all
want
the beans.
cornrows.
Yeah,
What's wrong with this?
that's it.
And then, one day he said to me, there's these men where he's from, and they pierce their ears and they braid their hair, back in the village or whatever. And they are sort of, they're part of the
Luciferian.
witch doctors kind of grouping, the spiritual kind of grouping. I don't know what you would call them exactly.
Right.
And they dress like kind of androgynously, and they play with these gender stuff.
Right.
And there was a sort of a kind of fear slash respect for them in terms of their spiritual power and their juju and their whatever, right? It's
their
like
power. Agbara. Yeah.
Right. So, it was frowned upon from his now Christian modern viewpoint.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it was frowned upon in
the African context.
Yeah, I can't speak to that. Now the other thing that made that he reminded me of was that in many other cultures there was, like the Greeks, the Romans, they thought nothing of, having sex, boys having sex with men, having sex with boys. Sort of part of becoming a man is you would have this mentor that you look up to.
Yep.
And he would show you how to be a man, and then, you would also have sex and sort of learn sex.
Yep. Pederastry.
Right. So these things have been going on.
Yep.
And then, is this not just the African version of that?
But you see, these people, sorry to barge in, but these people would still have kids. They would display this femininity in their character, but they will still have a wife and they will still have kids. Maybe on the side they were playing some, double standard or, playing games, but they will still have their kids. And this is the case of Spartans.
It wasn't a full expression of full every day.
It wasn't the case where you could legally have a companion.
Right.
Because you still needed to reproduce. You needed to have kids. And, so you still needed a woman. This is where I introduce. There you go. That is it. There's no other way. No other way. I repeat, no other blood clot way that reproduction is going to happen except between men and women. Independently of how you want to express your tingle, I will call it, your scratch, if you wanted an heir, you needed to reproduce with the opposite sex. Okay? But these things were still present. These people are still present in Africa. And like you said, these people are seen as magical people, indigo children. They possess some sort of power. Now, this guy, Malida Masoma and Credo Mutua, they do explain that this is the spiritual process that goes through. As indigo children, these people, they don't conform to society's norms. They do not conform to the educational standards. They struggle to find jobs, the 9 to 5, etc., because they're here to defy the paradigm. They're here to usher in a new era. Africans had the concept of this. So I just wanted to go through this because I recently, came to meet my whole family, my mother's side of the family. And I have a cousin that I love dearly, right? And he's gay. But the thing is in Africa, you need to watch out. You need to watch out because some idiot might, that thinks he's a pastor or he's whatever, might come out and do some madness, right? Like try to exercise you, try to beat out the spirit out of you. You know what I'm talking about. It's a crazy world right now. But it's not because we are still practicing our own spiritual systems. It's because we are now imitating foreign spiritual systems, Christianity, Islam, which categorically have to suffocate anything feminine.
I've just put something together in my mind. So, the whole thing about the Catholic Church, sort of being a place known for pedophilia.
Right.
There is a theory or an idea that it evolved into that because there was such strict suppression around sex and restriction around sex. So if you take a vow of celibacy for the rest of your life at the age of 15, and then prior to that, sex was out of bounds anyway. You're just, your body is giving you all sorts of urges and pushes.
You're gonna do with your next man.
Only around other men. And then, at some point, the priest who is your mentor, whatever, in a closed environment that they can control, away from your parents, basically expresses his sexual frustration on a young impressionable boy, and then that boy grows up in the order, and then this is now what is done, and he does the same in the cycle. That would be what I would call a perversion. And it's a perversion because the actual normal sexual outlet has been suppressed.
There you go. That's it. Okay.
So in this situation, you're saying back in African culture, maybe Greek culture, maybe whatever, but in older cultures, when we've played the line, we've had a little bit of flexibility with having a sort of homosexual element within the community, within the people. Then people are not if you completely cut it off and close it down and say it's wrong, then what happens is the pressure builds, and then a perversion is created.
Exactly.
And maybe perversion, it would be the kind of word that get you cancelled. But what I'm saying is, if left outside of that system of thinking, and people didn't think, gay, all of this,
Yeah.
because that's that's built on top of the religious foundations that America and England have come from.
There. Yeah. Yeah.
There may just be general sexual
Live
expression
on
amongst
YouTube.
men that is not frowned upon, but the actual step of taking a man as a lover,
have to check
as a
them
man,
out.
or taking a woman as a lover, like as actual partners, maybe
Yeah.
never would have developed.
That's it. That's it.
That's
That's literally. So what we're trying to say, and I don't feel some type of way saying it, is the superiority of these indigenous cultures to the present day culture, because they allowed true freedom of expression.
It's such a freedom issue. It's the same with drugs, right?
Go on.
Like Switzerland,
Yeah.
class A drugs, meaning the hardest drugs that
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
in Switzerland are completely legal.
We need to specify that we don't encourage drug abuse. We don't encourage any sort of psychoactive intoxicants, but you do need to do your own research in regards to this. TJ is just expressing his own views. So, yeah.
Well, I'm right now I'm expressing a fact.
Right. Okay. So Switzerland is
Switzerland
Class A drugs are completely legal. Is there like a tier on quantities or stuff like that?
So if you're caught selling drugs,
Yeah.
they come down with massive penalty.
Right. Right.
And then so that's how they're attacking it from, let's say, the cartel side, the
Right.
criminal side.
Right.
But then what's
These
happening
guys are
is
spilling
on
all the
the
beans.
end user side,
Yeah.
if you want heroin, you just go to your doctor and then they give you heroin.
Ooh. Wow.
And then the problem is when you have an addiction, like we've been discussing addictions,
Yeah.
you don't want that addiction to control you.
Yeah.
So eventually they say to the doctor, I'm addicted to heroin, but I don't want to be on heroin.
That's
what can
right.
I do?
Yeah.
Not just that, they give you clean heroin, so it's not been mixed with anything in the street.
Grade
So
A. Yeah.
overdoses become very rare
Yeah.
because overdoses come when people put all types of crap in the drugs,
Yeah.
unregulated, in order to, cut the drugs and make more profit.
Yeah.
Then you get clean needles, so the spread of
HIV, AIDS, and
etc.
all those, yeah,
And then
STIs.
they're getting real stats on everyone that's taking the drugs
Yeah.
in their country, and they are the people that are taking the drugs are now not supporting their own criminal enterprise in
That's
order
it.
to pay for drugs,
Yeah.
because they just go to their doctor and they get it for free.
That's it.
And then when they want to be off it, which is always, they're in the right place to get help. The doctors, they
Yeah.
go to the doctor. Says, okay, well, let's do a program for you. Blah blah blah. So in short order, there is now no heroin problem in Switzerland.
Mm.
And crime is extremely low. And there is no cartels there. There's not even business for the cartels to do there.
They're out of business. Yeah.
Gang warfare, killing over all of this. They've and so murder is now just down to sort of acts of passion of crime, like
Yeah.
some guys
Love affairs.
and, that
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas, like in every other country where drugs are legal, a big percentage of the murders that happen are a result of
Drug
gang
cartels. Yeah.
activity.
Yeah.
Tussling for territory.
These guys are spilling
No, so
all
what
the
I'm saying
beans.
is they opened the door to freedom. They said, "Look, this thing, we're not condoning it. We're not whatever. But if you want to take your drugs,
Yeah.
take your drugs.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Because if we do war on drugs and enforcement of it, a perversion
TJ
is
and
created
Campbell,
Yeah.
in society. And that perversion is cartel and all the things I've just discussed. But if you just let the door be a little bit and you open the
Interest into
freedom,
blood
the word
clot.
you used was freedom
Yeah.
before,
Yeah.
then society, humanity, natural
Benefits from
balance,
there's a natural flow of energy. Yeah.
and you can also see it with like even drugs like marijuana.
Yeah.
If you look at the rates of kids that smoke marijuana underage in the UK
It's going up. Yeah.
Versus Holland.
Yeah.
Now, of course, people smoke drugs in Holland, but it's not like this taboo thing in Holland.
Exactly.
Because you can just go into a shop and buy it and use it. So kids didn't grow up like, he, let me go and smoke drugs. It's like, yeah, my parents, they go and smoke or whatever. It's like alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get some kids drinking in the park or whatever, but in general, there's not this prohibition around it.
Yeah.
So this maps onto the sex thing.
Yeah.
If you just allow
the natural flow of
sexual energy to be what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we didn't create these barriers. Okay, that's very interesting. I've never thought of it in that way before.
And as far as I've researched, it's never really happened in any society where legal marriage between same-sex partners was allowed. Historically, it was known as a fling, pederasty, like in ancient Greece and in ancient Rome. It was more of a thing you did because you were of this high end of society and you could afford to mentor someone who was younger than you. So then you're passing on your knowledge, you're infatuated with them, and then you're having sex. You're having same sex with these people. But these people would still have their partners, their wives, who would conceive and bear children, bear their hairs, and that was it. That was what was known.
A big deal wasn't made of it.
You were even considered of a high status if you could afford to have a small boy, a toy boy, as a man.
This links into the political issue that's happened this week in the UK Parliament.
Right.
Have you heard about this guy?
Was it the MP that was watching porn?
Yes.
Right. Just looking for his name because I really need to name him. This boy needs to listen to Akbarapa, mate.
He was viewing. He went to a website, or he had a link sent to him.
This is, by the way, sorry to barge in. This is Neil Parish, so
Neil
Tory MP.
So he's not in like the main part of. He's like in a sort of area before you go into the main Parliament area,
right?
Somewhere. I can't remember exactly where it is, but it's not in the main part that's on TV. So he gets some type of link.
Yeah.
He opens the link. Bam.
Bad boy.
He closes the link, and then at a later time, he reopens the link. And in that time, two women had viewed what link what he'd opened.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Cool. I was listening to the radio yesterday.
Yeah.
It was just person after person, men and women, calling in, saying how disgusted they were with this government representative. Just finishing his life as if he's done something that every single person that I know hasn't done, which is open a risky link that a friend has sent them.
Thank you.
Now, should he have been watching porn? No. He should not have been watching porn.
Yep.
At his work. Keep a professional at work.
That's it.
Right? You don't do sexual stuff. You keep sex, just like you swear in an appropriate environment.
That's it.
You keep your sexual stuff appropriate where it needs to be appropriate. Was he in the wrong? Yes, he's in the wrong. Yes, he's in the wrong.
Wrong place to do that.
Wrong place to do that. Absolutely inappropriate.
That's it.
But the vitriol and the idea. One woman called in and was like, "This is a confirmation of the misogyny that is in the UK Parliament."
Right.
And the guy's obviously he's had to resign.
Yeah.
And they were like, "You can't resign quick enough." Do you know how widespread porn is?
That's exactly what we're talking about, bro. Like, I was even going to tell you. Do you know, if we make this our journey through semen retention, our journey through porn addiction, because I definitely had a porn addiction. This is something that is so widespread and is so silent. And look, we're going off the topic today, but this is so widespread that I think alcohol might be, coming fast after or slightly ahead of porn addiction.
I I would like to know the stats,
That
but
would be so interesting.
I think porn addiction would be number one.
Because everyone has a mobile phone today. It's the
So,
visitors to Pornhub, X Hamster, X Videos, even on Twitter, all Snapchat is so widespread that the legal requirement now for porn has just dropped to any holder of a mobile handset. If you own a mobile handset, you can view it, you can consume it, and everyone has one by law.
and I think, and I don't think this is actually off topic.
Hey,
I think it's because the fundamental idea is that if you build prohibitions, there is an unintended consequence around that control.
yeah,
Because
These guys are spilling
because
all the
if
beans.
we had a more open-minded idea around sex,
yeah,
TJ and
right?
Campbell
And I think
interesting
the
to
West has
blood clot
inherited this
live on
from
YouTube.
this sort of extreme religious piety,
yeah,
sort of flogging, priests flogging their back
yeah.
whenever they have a impure sexual thought.
Thought, yeah.
Like
Not even physically doing it, just a thought.
right.
Yeah,
So we've inherited this like piety.
yeah,
I remember seeing a tribe in South America
Check them out.
where they're basically more or less just naked,
yeah,
right? They cover up a little bit here and there. They're more less naked.
yeah,
And there was a father and wife and partner,
yeah,
and then like 3 kids,
yeah.
and they were inspecting the dad's penis.
Jesus.
So the daughter was like touching the penis, picking it up, and then they were playing around with it. And the mother was there, the son was there, the dad was there, and it was kind of like like a child might like a small child might touch your face and your nose and your ear and pull your ear and what's this, daddy?
Just play, like rudimental play.
Yes, and they were checking their bodies for like these skin mites.
Yeah,
So there was an element of like self-grooming.
yeah,
There was an element of education, like this is a penis, this is anatomy,
right.
this is whatever. There was no sexual arousal or anything like that going on. Mother, children, and father were all present, all in the vicinity,
Right.
and they was laughing and giggling and whatnot, right? So there was no issue of nudity. It was pure. There was no issue of nudity there.
Yeah, innocent. Yeah.
It was innocent, and like we would just never do that.
Oh,
It's just, I mean,
I'm even, you're lucky I'd eaten, bro. Yeah, I had this soup coming up, mate.
well, why do you have the soup coming up?
Because I have
Been programmed.
That's it. I've been programmed to see that as wrong. 100%. You're spot on that.
These unintended consequences.
Yeah. Yeah.
Echo into society,
Yeah.
and they create like what if we were just a little bit more free? Think about like what if infidelity was more like the Romans or the Greeks. And think about like all of the marriages that wouldn't have been ended in divorce.
Yeah.
All of the like I suppose we have to be a little bit careful because of the idea of sexually transmitted disease. We can't go fully off the rails here. But
there's a lot that we can't even prove that was happening back in the day, but for certain we know that a lot of the STIs that we have today are somehow genetically engineered, like for some reason, either in the lab or I was reading a book by Colin Millis, the inventor of the PCR test, and
Right.
he was talking about how the HIV virus was experimented back in the Second World War. So, way before it is officially said to have been spread in, Africa by Africans, and, for some reason, someone saying, they're saying they were alluding to someone having sex with monkeys, and, it came out of Africa, etc.
The way we just don't even know
That there you
what
go.
done.
So he was literally talking about how it was experimented, created in a lab as a byproduct to some sort of vaccine, something. It was regards as I blew it.
Allegedly.
Yes, allegedly.
We say this because
Yeah,
this content is now enough. Just what we're saying now.
yeah,
Enough for YouTube to say
Yeah.
you guys are spreading
yeah. Hey,
whatever.
false information and etc. But
Like-
yeah, that's what it is. So we don't know, because in the past people were really going crazy, bro. They were going ham on their sexual behaviors. Like orgies, sex parties were, sex initiations were a normal thing. It was an elite thing. And I also wanted to talk about the mysteries of Dionysus, right? Which is also correlated to the Elysian mysteries. So I guess one was either Greek or Roman, vice versa. Either Elysian was Greek and Dionysus was Roman, or they were both Greek. I'm not too sure. But
Can I before we go there, can I
yes,
pose something?
please do.
I was on holiday. I think we may have spoken about it before. I don't know.
Right.
I was on holiday. I was on vacation, and there was a guy there that declared that he had a crush on me.
Right.
And one day I was in a situation where I was waiting, and he was waiting with me for about an hour for something. I was friends with him. We spoke.
Yeah.
And it was in Dominican Republic,
Yeah.
Caribbean island, and I just started asking him, how old were you when you knew you were gay? How this and that and whatever.
Yeah.
And he said, he thinks that he thinks that it comes from this guy. And I said, what guy?
Okay.
And he said, well, I used to come home from school and I'd get home before my mum came home from work.
Right.
So I would just sit, in the Caribbean, you've got chairs on the porch. So you just sit on the porch.
Yeah.
And a guy, one of the guys in the neighborhood, would see him sitting on the porch and had figured out that basically the mother isn't there. And then he would go and sit with him. And then he would say, oh, you're so beautiful. You're so handsome. You look so good. And then started kissing him and then teaching him to kiss.
Jesus.
And he would just kiss him. And this kid was, a minor. He was a small kid.
Yeah.
And he said it happened for years. And he didn't know that there was any issue. Didn't realize there's any issue, whatever, till whatever. Anyway, and he's one of these very
were you about to say fruity?
No, I was gonna say feminine, but I don't even think it's feminine, right? It's like a gay a gay feminine act.
I don't know the labels for them, but let's just call him, of the LGBT community. Flamboyant, yeah.
Yeah, like flamboyantly over exaggerated,
Yeah.
whatever. Because if I meet a woman, I don't think women walk around
Women
with
don't.
that kind of sass.
I guess that's how you can differentiate even transsexuals to like if really good looking transsexuals to women.
Right.
They're just more flamboyant too. They exaggerate these features: the breast, the butt, the attraction. But go on, yeah.
So he was one of those very flamboyantly outward sexual. He had makeup.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't know much English, but he knew the word honey. Right.
Yeah.
If that paints a picture for you. So he was this thing of sexual pliability that even the gay and homosexual community refute.
Yeah,
they will tell you that they're born this way, and maybe they are. I don't know, but it seems to me that the idea that there is no pliability in the young mind of a person, and I know that there's something called imprinting, sexual imprinting.
Yeah.
So certain things that happen to you when you're a child can result in certain fetishes and things like that.
Yeah.
Guys that like what's this thing called? Like being dominatrix.
Yeah.
Guys that like
slaves. They behave like slaves in a sexual context. Yeah.
Guys like feet exaggeratedly so, like
like me. Yeah.
and all that. Like you like feet?
Oh, I love women's feet. Is a big turn on. Yeah. It's and I even know why, but go on. I don't want to interrupt.
Well, my point is that my point is that if he was left to have a sort of quote unquote, a sort of in quote marks normal, unaffected growing up,
he would have just gone. We would call it the normal tendency to want to reproduce with a woman.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying? All right.
Yeah. So I think there is a very big responsibility for us to just saying no to sex is the wrong approach to a young person.
Yeah.
There needs to be like a respected, careful and loving education provided to a young person, and probably from a younger age than we're comfortable to admit.
Right.
And just saying, this is sex. This is what it is. This is what can happen.
These guys are spilling all
sex can manifest in all sorts of ways.
That's it.
And I don't know, just like a general, if we can remove the taboo, maybe the porn industry wouldn't be what it is.
It would collapse. That's it. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it will collapse because it's still.
But to be fair, and I'm going to add one thing before you continue. What I did not forget, but I purposely omitted to say that there was another kid, in this boarding school that was so feminine. This is an African child born in Italy, so African Italian. Okay, he was so feminine. For the purposes of this recording, we're gonna call him Toby. His name is not Toby. We're gonna call him Toby. Or Tony. Let's say Tony. He was so feminine. This kid was younger than me. And I mean, just think of Bobrisky. I don't know if you're familiar with Bobrisky.
Bobrisky?
Yeah.
I don't know that.
Is this West African transsexual. He's a He's kind of a transvestite, so he cross dresser. He's a man that dresses up as a woman.
Okay.
Who,
Like RuPaul.
yeah, kind of. And he gets these massive gifts from politicians, rich businessmen, endorsements all over West Africa. Bobrisky is on top of the celebrity food chain. Like he's top, top, top. And no blood clot person can touch him.
TJ and Campbell.
Nobody. He does what he does. He dresses the way he wants. Yeah. So if you can picture, like even the kid you were saying, if you can picture that kid in your head, this is Tony back in the boarding school. This is how he was. It was so obvious that he's gay, but you know, how do you explain that? I would say at the time, he must have been 7 or 8. Loudly gay, like flamboyant, the way he would, curl his hands, and very fair, very sensitive. And this is where, I'd like to say it again. These people just come with a different level of sensitivity from very young. They might look even feminine, but young boys, young girls, you kind of can't tell. If a girl that is very young wore boys' clothes, mistake her for a boy, and vice versa. But Tony was so gay, so flamboyant. He loved playing with the girls. Every game he could do with the girls, he would play. And for some reason, he was allowed to play with the girls and stay in the girls' hostel, unlike us. Because if they let me in that girls' hostel for 2 minutes, somebody's getting pregnant. But yeah, so that's just what I wanted to add. That yes, I guess there are people who maybe leaving them to the natural inclination, they might not have ended up the way they ended if there was not abuse in their life. But there are also some people that, for some reason, at a very young age, they are just inclined to that. And these are African kids. So when people come out with, oh no, is white people that brought homosexuality is because they were buck breaking and all this stuff, I just call the bullshit. I call it bullshit. There are witnesses of there's a Ugandan monarch back during the invasion of the Brits, the Germans in Uganda. He was exclusively brutal to the Muslims and the Christians. So this guy was African, 100%. He wasn't converted. And it was known that his favorite, Orishi sweets is boys. He had a harem. And this was a Ugandan monarch. I'm gonna fish out his name. But these things go on. If you speak to anybody, and because of my background, I had to speak to people that were in other African boarding schools, and it always comes up that look, in boarding schools, it's madness going on.
Stuff goes down.
It's madness going on. The name of this monarch is King Mwanga II of Buganda. King Mwanga. Mwanga written as Mwanga II of Buganda. So if our listeners are listening, if you've been patient enough to listen to this point, go and look it up. It is what it is, bro. So yeah.
why don't we have a break there and
that's
then we
it.
can come back with this Dionysus
Right.
information.
So we're gonna go for a short break. Stick with us.
Bombaclad, these guys are spilling all the beans. TJ and Campbell, interesting to blood clot, live on YouTube. You have to check them out. Bombaclad, these guys are spilling all the beans. TJ and Campbell, interesting to the blood clot, live on YouTube. You have to check them out.
Yeah. Welcome back. Welcome back. It's still us and TJ. Yeah.
What's good?
So
So,
we are going
curious to
to.
hear about this Dionysus and how you're going to link it into the topic.
So the mysteries of Dionysus. Let me just correct myself. Now, in ancient Greece, there were various initiation rites. So rites of passage from let's say from teenage to adulthood, from a certain sect in adulthood to a secret sect. So one of these initiations was the mysteries of Dionysus, and another one that we have already discussed was the the Elysian mysteries, right?
Hmm.
So now, the mysteries of Dionysus. Dionysus can also be identified as Bacchus, the god of wine, the god of pleasure.
Okay.
Also, Dionysus can also be identified as the Messiah,
Okay.
Jesus. So this was way before Jesus was born. Within brackets, and the mysteries consisted in. Now this is very gruesome to hear. The devotees, the top devotees, had to cut off their penis. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, because it was Dionysus was an androgynous being,
Right.
not being male and not being female. So it was either a woman with a penis or a man with a vagina. And so some people say that this was either symbolical as a form of devotion to this sect. You did this. It is sometimes recorded that this was actually done. People would actually cut off their penis, to show their dedication. Sometimes possessed by, because they were still taking intoxicants. So possessed by whatever spirit that was being I don't know, channeled into the initiation, right? They would be
Right.
so moved to follow this deity and cut off their penis. It was either to in kind of displaying blood sacrifice
Wow.
for some reason. But now what they believed was that androgyny, so the word would be androgyny if you are a woman who has masculine features, and what's the other word? So it's androgyny and it escapes me
I
now.
thought androgyny was just it doesn't fall easily into either category.
That's what it would either be. You're right in the middle. So you
Yes.
have you just look of each side, but you just look like you can't tell. So
Yes.
like Prince, the
Right.
artist, you just look so in the middle. Now another thing was that this was to mimic universal principles of balance,
Right.
because like we watched your presentation the other day in the yin yang, this was you demonstrated this symbolically, but in physical human terms, this is how it would be manifested as androgyny. It would look like a human being that had both features. Now, the most
Right.
interesting thing is that down the line, the mysteries of Dionysus and the mysteries of the Elysian mysteries came and were adopted by Christianity. So the I would say the grandchild of Dionysus is Jesus. Jesus
Okay.
was known to be an androgynous character, and we can see in a lot of representations here and there that he has a very not very clear constituency, if you know what I mean. It's,
Well,
it's very
before we talk about how he looks,
right.
you never hear anything about Jesus having a partner, right? So
You do hear it is in the Bible, but I don't want to scare off our listeners because Jesus,
Jesus had a partner.
he calls John his beloved.
Okay, so I guess that's up for interpretation.
That is up to interpretation.
That would still actually maybe aid the androgynous argument,
There you go.
switching between the norms if that was the case.
Yep.
But what I'm saying is that there wasn't a sort of like this is Jesus and then his woman was this. It's always just Jesus is a singular figure in general, right?
So yeah, the obviously when we talk about Jesus, the deeper meaning of Jesus is the procession of the sun and the zodiac. So the 12 signs of the zodiac. So born on the 25th of December, that's when the sun kind of dies, and you have
That's the
the
change
yeah
the
winter.
day to the newest day. The winter
Exactly.
solstice.
Exactly, yeah. And then when the sun is reborn, that will be the summer, the equinox, when the night becomes the same as the day. So Jesus represents the sun. That is the esoteric meaning. But because this tradition evolved from these older traditions, that
Right.
would be the representation of Jesus. Jesus is the balanced universal principle. He's androgynous. He's neither male nor female. And you can also understand why he's then attributed with these powers of, miracles, telepathy, um, um,
Healing.
clairvoyance, all of these things. Because from the very beginning, these people have this belief that if you're balanced with the universal principles, you display androgyny. You neither display masculinity nor femininity. You're right in the middle. It's even more telling the very first miracle that Jesus did, turn water into wine, which is telling of as Bacchus, Dionysus, the god of wine.
That's also an what are they called? The hallucinate. What are they called?
Eleusinian
Yeah.
mysteries.
Yes, they had this. They had this drink
Yeah.
that was a wine mixture.
Yeah. So there's nothing new under the sun. But
Yeah.
this divinity was known to be, there you go, a hermaphrodite. Yeah. It was out there. And this was not the only case. There were other cases in contemporary to the Dionysian mysteries where you had these I would say these women that it wasn't too clear what their sexual orientation was, but they would mingle among each other. They were lesbian, and these were the ones you would go to for to see your future.
Right. Right.
They were all over Greece. It was known that people who had this predisposition possessed some sort of power in the spiritual world. Now,
And this is also another reason why the Christians would want to stamp this out
of course, man,
to to say the power comes from this
from
direction.
there you go.
Doesn't come from this dabbling and something that's associated with that is homosexuality or
There you go.
sexual flexibility.
Yeah.
So in turn, that was also frowned upon.
But you see, they did not have these terms. They would not call themselves homosexual because in today's terminology would be you're homosexual if you have no attraction to the other sex. Today's terms
Right.
would be bisexual. But that was even wrong because it was done more as a spiritual practice.
But the Christians had an incentive to label it
Exactly.
so that they had a target to say this is unnatural.
Exactly. So we're going to talk about, from when the feminine starts to be suppressed, when feminine energy is seen as, as Eve, as evil, as the bad thing. And so, yeah, let's get rid of the feminine, let the boys do the work, and then, we have Christianity there. We're going to see that on another tangent some other time. But you know, just to go back to, our first title, is homosexuality foreign to Africa? It really isn't. But the problem is that we've adopted a Christian view, which is now making things so rigid that, we can't go around even readopting our own culture or the African culture, which then says, wait, hold on a second. People come with natural predispositions and curiosities to these things. If left
Yeah.
alone, they would do their thing, but they will still want to reproduce because they would understand that it's like two Legos, right? This is very figurative.
Yeah.
That's it. You got my point. If it doesn't fit, yeah, you're not gonna build no house.
Right. There's a clear place.
That's
There's a
it.
positive charge and a negative charge that
That's
work
it.
with.
So then,
So
yeah,
go on.
those who would indulge in these things from the ethnic point of view were people who possessed certain creative gifts. But now even that, and you can see it, people who are, clearly homosexual or gay, they're kind of more out there. They kind of indulge in more creative work, if that makes sense. They're more in the arts, in those kind of industries, for whatever reason. I don't want to, put a cliche out on them, but this is the ancient belief. This is what was believed from back in the day. You possessed something unique that was time to bring to the world. It was your duty to bring it out to the world. Now, however you wanted to express that was fine, but if you wanted to have hairs, there was only one way to do that, mate. So it could be that they even, they were appalled by it. It was nasty. They wouldn't want to do it, but it was necessary. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. That's I think that yeah, we need to get back
Interesting to
to
blood clot.
a type of freedom.
That's it.
And actually, I think what the, let's say,
Live on
LGBT
YouTube.
community is doing is searching for freedom, maybe in the wrong domain.
And this is where I think I did start some other time, like one of our previous interviews, previous episodes. I started talking about it, but it was after 2 hours. We're both tired, and it came off as very, very, very belligerent. But that is exactly what I was about to say, is that the movement is legit. What it's doing, looking for its own freedom, having its own voice, its own path, its own clarity. They have their own message, but unfortunately, it's been co-opted.
It's been built on a foundation that was already corrupted.
There you go. It's
They're
been
reacting to a corruption.
there you go. There's people within the organization, and we know about the feminist movements back in the 60s and 70s that the CIA literally, you know, went into it to kind of put men against women and do their own thing, when what women were really talking about was equal rights and the right to not get killed or get treated as second class and etc. But then, we know these things happen in history. So the LGBT movement was legit because this was a time when homosexuals in the West, we're not talking about the East or some place in Iran or China, yeah, we're talking about the West, England, USA, Canada. These people were either offered hormonal treatment or were going to jail.
Yeah.
These people were being openly discriminated, right? So this was a time when they wanted to have a voice and a say.
Mm.
But then what do you
It's
do?
created a perversion.
There you go. If you can't fight them, you need to,
Over
because
suppress.
yeah, there you go.
It's crazy, man.
There you
That's a
go.
we've just uncovered a formula or a pattern
You have to
in
check them
life.
out.
Yeah, that's what usually happens. So it's a message out there that we are not homophobic.
Nope.
We embrace, I speak for myself, but I believe I speak for TJ as well. We embrace all creed, background, religious belief and everything, but we do
Yep.
understand that there are universal laws which need to be respected, because they are there. We didn't create them, we came to meet them.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
that's how it goes. So it's also good for, there was a time when, like I said before, I was a flat earther. Yeah, I was
Hmm.
advocating flat earth and everything, but then I had to understand that these are point of views. This is not really, if you want to see the earth, this is also another tangent, but this is based on your belief system, what you believe, how you've grown up. If you have the globe model, things rotate around you. This is how you believe things work. If you have the flat model, this is how you believe things work. So it's like both arguments are right at the same time, but then they don't make logical sense. So it is the same thing. I was advocating something that was just a distraction. I was going for flat earth. I was just being loud and belligerent. But in reality, they were talking about something more subtle.
Mm.
There you go. So we are also raising awareness within the LGBT community. We'd love to have a guest on that, enlighten us. If any of them is listening, please share or tag them, and would like to know more. But this is how we see things. We see that you can have your own sexual inclination. That is God given. But then going further to have education, even in school, do you understand what is the difference between what that adult was doing to your Dominican friend and
Mm.
what is happening now in schools where it's being offered to them? How are they able to make their minds up in a natural way?
Even on those porn sites, they'll basically
Yeah, slip in one or two. I've seen,
on the
yeah,
side,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I've
and
seen that.
say, and porn starts off more about curiosity
There
than
you
it does
go.
about sort of sexual whatever.
Yeah,
So curiosity. Also, um, in there is there is a path to there's a path to homosexuality through porn,
yeah,
or
yeah,
a path to
Bumbleclad.
bisexuality,
yeah,
because they will
These guys are
they will do,
spilling
well, you're
all the
attracted to
beans.
women, right?
yeah,
And yeah,
yeah,
okay, cool. So why not, let's look at two women,
yeah, yeah,
right? Okay, so we're looking at two women, and then those two women, well, they can't penetrate each other.
yeah.
So now let's put a strap on one of the women,
That's it.
right? So now you can have two women that you're attracted to women, and then there's a strap on going on.
Yeah,
But now you've created essentially a woman with a penis.
that's it.
So now that is a stepping stone into um actual women with penises, which are men that have changed into women. That's a whole side of porn in of itself.
That's it.
And before you know it, you don't know if whether you're watching
Is a
the,
man or a
TJ
woman?
and
Yeah,
yeah,
Campbell in
whatever. And then so these
you're
things
picking up.
are,
Yeah,
interesting
yeah,
to
yeah,
the
yeah,
blood clot
yeah.
live on
I would just say this one thing. One hot summer, yeah, when I was probably 15 or 14. I had my first paycheck from work I had done in the summer, and I decided
right.
to buy a porn magazine. And I just went up to the shop panting, sweating, looking behind me over my shoulder in case my dad or some pastor will see me in this, shop buying. I was scared to death.
I mean,
And
were you old enough to buy it yourself in there?
I was 14, so it was. I don't know. I don't know. I just that's what I want. I guess it
But you
was.
didn't think about like the person saying you need to
Oh,
be
I
18.
had to be 18. That's right, but I don't think they cared. They wanted the money. Yeah, they wanted the money.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it was this magazine that had um, two versions inside. One smaller, pocket sized, in the same, they were
Right.
bound together. So in the same edition, there was a smaller version and a bigger, magazine. So
Right.
I said, you know what? On the way home, I'm gonna consume the pocket size one, and I'll keep the bigger one for after. Okay,
Mhm.
so I'm just flipping through those pages on the bus. Woof, very hot. Then I make my way home, and I'm like, yeah, I'm now gonna watch. My stepmom was praying somewhere. My dad was at work. I just took the big magazine. I was like, I'm going to enjoy myself this afternoon. Now, when I opened the first page, it was a transsexual.
Right.
It was what looked like a woman with breast, but with a penis.
Please excuse the noise of the ice cream truck outside. If you,
It's time to go, mate.
no, I'm just saying that listeners may be hearing the truck. So
You really like ice creams, TJ, because it's not the first time you've highlighted eating ice creams all day. Anyway.
I'm not eating ice cream. The truck has just come and it's making a noise. This,
Anyway, Jerry, I'm just looking
go
at this, and I had a nauseating feeling. Something
right.
something was going up my throat, and I started getting headaches. And I was just like, what is this, man? Like, is this real? That was the first time I saw something like that. I couldn't understand. Like, there's people naturally like that. Like, they're born with it. Like, I don't know how to even express my feelings, how I was feeling back then. But I was curious and horrified at the same time. So I was flipping through the pages, and it was just so confusing. Like,
Mm,
who would want to consume this? And that was the first time I was ever introduced into transsexual, the transsexual world and all of that shenanigans. But
and the,
if,
the
if
magazine didn't present as that.
it had a
Yeah.
the small magazine that was in front of the bigger one was just covering the whole thing. So do you understand? With discretion, I had to put it in my pocket or my backpack in such a way that it's not open to the public, because I knew, I don't know who I'm going to meet on my way home.
Right.
So I just slipped out. The smaller one, obviously, you see a woman in front of it, naked woman, all of that, da da da. So as I put in my backpack, I kind of unwrapped it in such a way that I could get the smaller pocket size one to consume there and there
Mm, mm,
on my
mm.
way home. So now when I go home, I open up this thing and I'm like, ah. So there was a following time I went to buy another magazine from the same shop. And when I got there, I told the lady, like, are you aware that this stuff is transsexuals? And the lady told me, well, there's as much women as men in it. So what's the point? It's the same thing.
Right.
Coming back to your argument about, slipping these subtle things in porn videos, and then, it gets, when you go down the rabbit hole, you end up watching gay porn.
Mm, mm.
That was like, just to connect the dots. But yeah, it's called priming. If in
Yeah.
digital marketing, it's like it's one of those things that your subconscious catches, and
Mm,
then that's it. Les jeux sont faits. Right. We're gonna. I don't know. How you feeling?
I'm good.
Right. So we're gonna talk about one last thing, and that is
Bomba clot.
Dubai Porta Potty,
Yikes.
bro. Me, look, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I always knew this for some reason. I don't. I think it's because I consume a lot of porn, but I was privy to this. This is not new.
I went down a Reddit black hole once, and because there's a lot of, I mean, it's now more. There are people on YouTube that talk about it,
Yeah.
but I
These
didn't
guys are
know that
spilling
that was going
all the
on
beans.
until I started reading. There was one blog. There was one
TJ and Campbell.
that I read about a girl that was saying, she was a millionaire from being a prostitute, and her main clients, it was like
Interesting to
she
blood
was like
clot.
10,000. Her fee was like 10,000 a time, and she was like, anyone that's earning that kind of money has to do, this
Scat.
Arab stuff. And the description of what she did, and how she got into it, was just like, it's something that I thought maybe was happening, but yeah, it's
I mean, I do know about bestiality porn, and there are certain laws in the West that protect it. It's there are laws to protect people who consume bestiality porn. It is totally legal, but there can't be penetration for some reason. I couldn't finish reading it, but it's totally
well, I
legal in
know
the
that there's
West.
been deaths caused.
There's been what? Sorry.
There's been deaths caused. There's a very famous case
Mm,
where a woman in the UK, yeah, I believe it's in the UK,
Live
there was
on
an
YouTube.
infamous
You
porn
have to
movie
check them
called
out.
Animal Farm.
mm,
Um, and she, in the film, she has sex with a horse.
eh,
And while she's having sex with the horse
ripped her
sort
whole.
of erratically goes on high, like when a horse goes on its back two legs
Yeah.
and bucks, and it killed her. It resulted in
Bro,
her
but
death,
why do people do this?
bro. I think when you're now talking about doing, selling drugs for money,
Yeah.
or selling sex for money, or porn, there's some people that, like, there's a story about a guy that made like 300K a month selling um cannabis,
Yeah.
by and he had a whole system where he was very discreet, and he would drive from like California up to New up upstate New York, and
Right.
he had this whole network, right? That guy chose that as a career, and he was in charge of his own personal agency, right?
Right.
And then there's like a guy that grows up maybe in a
Bomba
bad
clot.
area, and he gets arrested 20 times by the time he's 15, and he's now not he's got a criminal record, and he's institutionalized, and that guy's back is against the wall, and all that guy can think or know to do to live is
Crime.
sell drugs.
Yeah.
But that guy doesn't he would like a
Yeah.
peaceful life, but he doesn't know how to find it.
Yeah.
And I think the same
These
thing
guys are
happens in the
spilling
sex
all the
industry.
beans.
So there's girls that are like, they go and they choose to be a sugar daddy, or
Yeah.
they find a way, like, I'd rather just do this to make money,
Yeah.
versus, and then the whole other end of the scale would be, like, what is it when you're taken, this human trafficking,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
a room, there's bars, and you have to, so there's sort of anything in between. And I think a lot of the time people fall into dark places.
Hmm.
And I would say maybe 80% of porn on some
Is yeah,
level is someone that is in a dark
is
place,
yeah,
and
exploitation. Yeah.
they don't even know. There's an interview with a girl who has porn regret.
Oh, but they show them all the time when they admitted that I needed money. I'm in grad school, or um single mom or whatever. Like, yeah, they admitted that they do it for money.
Like
That
there's a girl recently I saw who was like she did one of these kind of extreme scenes where they're like pissed on and slapped up a bit and
yeah.
rough housed and whatnot. And she was explaining, it was just so surreal. I went in there, everyone was so polite, and then it was like,
Hmm.
do you agree to all of this stuff? And then now once that was all confirmed, and then the cameras start, and then bam, I'm just whirlwinded into this madness,
Well,
and all of this stuff is happening to me, and then it's over, and everyone's like back to normal, like okay, good, da, 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 da. And she talks about how mad it was and how she regretted it, and she went home and cried and whatnot, and then she
Jesus Christ.
went back and did it again for
Oh,
another
ma,
scene.
of course, for money, bruv. They pay lots of money for those things. Ghetto gaggers, they're called, I believe. Do you know the money they're getting for just those ridiculous scenes? Yeah, but back to this Dubai Porta Potty. Basically, there's a video that surfaced of some say it's a South African woman, but of African origin, that has been in multiple trips to Dubai and is getting the Arab uh, sexual thing. It's like these Arabs, they love. I don't even want to say that. That is, I take that back. But it's like certain people with power would co-opt people with lesser privileges to do inhumane acts
Like
for
they
their own
want to
pleasure.
see, they want to see the
Humiliation.
humiliation. They get off on the humiliation, and
Yeah.
you know, it's a fine
Oh,
line between who is being pimped and who is pimped.
bro, but what is salmonella? Because I've heard things like salmonella is like when you come in contact with animal feces. I'm not even sure, but don't you die from this stuff?
Salmonella poisoning can kill you.
So these people, how do they make it? Do they not die? Ha!
I don't know. No, I don't know if it always kills you, but salmonella poisoning, it's like yeah, it's like you can get it from like food that's gone off or something. Like you can get it from eggs,
Feces.
you can get it from um yeah. So the thing that I don't know how it works exactly, or
Look,
what's this.
I have always frowned upon these hot summer girls getting flown out to Dubai and coming back and spending the rest of the summer in Selfridges, Harrods. Yeah, I have always something
I
wasn't
think
right.
I think the girls also they see they see the opportunity and don't count the downside of it so easily. Do you know what I mean? They see the upside.
See the money.
They um they over um it's like all ups. They don't see the trade off.
Yeah,
They don't
yeah,
see the downside so
yeah.
easily.
It's just gained. You get flown up, accommodation plus 10K. It's all
Right.
it's all profit.
Have you seen the videos that they put on YouTube? The consent videos.
I think so. Yes.
So they you like they'll contact a girl on social media,
Yeah.
and then they'll say, we want you to come out to Dubai for $50,000,
Yeah.
and you need to agree to this,
Yeah.
anal, this. You must sleep with my 13-year-old son.
Oh,
You must sleep with a dog. You must feces, piss, this. So they have this laundry list. And then what they do is they get the girl to read it out on video and send it
um,
back. So the girl has to, so that they've got the evidence
yeah.
that there was no coercion.
Right.
And then those videos get posted on YouTube sometimes.
Hey.
So the girls
If
are reading out.
anything, yeah.
So, I mean,
So it's all consensual.
supposedly
Hey.
consensual.
Oh, God. Like some days ago, I was reading a book on archetypes, and this lady does a perfect explanation of what archetypes are, the number of archetypes that are present. And she talks about the prostitute archetype that we all have, or at some point, we display some prostitute characteristics. And, obviously, my tendency was to think of sexual prostitution. But what she actually explained was that the prostitute archetype is when everything has a price.
Yes.
That is the prostitute. Everything has a price. If you are that type of person that, name a price and you do it, that's it. Your prostitute archetype is strong. And don't get me wrong, for a very long time I was like that. It was money over anything. I have to make money in dollars, dough, euros, pounds. I didn't care what I had to do. I'll do it. I wanted money. And I realized, looking at myself retrospectively, I realized, that ashawo, that ashawo energy was so strong in me. And yeah, I think a lot of these girls are just on that,
I identified it before without seeing it in this way, but I
Yeah,
identified it before in rap music
yeah, yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
many lyrics they say the words
TJ and Campbell.
by any means.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm gonna get rich
Interesting
by
to
any
the blood
means.
clot live on YouTube.
And
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
realized one day that no, what they're trying to say that I'm willing to do what it takes to get
That's it. Yeah,
success, but there are consequences
yeah.
that you can never pay off
That's
with
it.
money.
That's it.
Some of these porn women have caught AIDS.
Yeah.
They've got
They're suicidal. Some of them are suicidal. Belladonna, Veronica Vluv. These are all women on the brink of suicide. They're on the suicide watch all the time.
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, they've been doing hardcore for God knows how many years. And they rinse these girls very quickly.
Yeah.
Once you hit 30, you're old news. Someone else is younger than you that is doing madness.
It's like any other industry, right?
There you go.
There's a tiny amount of girls that are highly successful,
Yeah,
and then there's everyone else.
yeah,
And you get tarred with the same brush.
yeah.
You get ostracized in society, and then but the likelihood that you're even well compensated is low.
That's it.
And you know how it works now with algorithms in porn. They tell you to come out to Miami or
Yeah,
wherever, and they make a video of you. They usually make the most money off you in the first few weeks of you.
yeah. Because you're new.
You're new, right?
Yeah,
And then some girls, the consumption still continues on.
yeah,
But other girls, like, they didn't really get very many clicks and views.
yeah,
So then the calls stop coming in.
yeah,
And then what they have to do is, well, before it was like just sex
yeah,
with a stud. but now the calls are not really coming in. Well, do you want to go and do a bit of more of a hardcore scene?
That's it.
And if you just continue down that path, you end up being one of these, like, I get pissed on, I
Yeah,
get, you know,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. You go
And
on legal porn. That's where you end up.
right. And then maybe that even starts not working. And then you sort of blend prostitution with porn, like you sleep with your fans.
Oh, they
You
they always do that. They've always, you know. Did you see that Bad Baby? That girl that was famous for Catch Me Outside. How about that?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she bought a villa in Miami for like she showed her receipts of OnlyFans, and she had earned like 52 million a year. She's just 18.
Wow. I mean,
Yeah,
why wouldn't you think, let's give it a go?
yeah.
It's easy money, right?
There, there you go. So it's
There's only
yeah,
a tiny amount of people that could do that. And
yeah.
then of those that can do it, are they happy?
Charlie, bro, 52. That's like you were born to do that.
Well, I'll tell you why she's so popular is because there's a fascination in and by the way, her OnlyFans is not hardcore.
I have OnlyFans, but I wanted to subscribe to a page, but by principle, I just said no. She's
I think
18.
I think she doesn't actually even show
Show a naked body. I
breasts.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but it's the idea that
It's the
maybe
soft.
she,
Yeah, she's gonna do eventually. Yeah,
and the fact that it's like a famous person is really gonna make take this step.
there you go. Yeah, yeah,
You know, if
yeah,
it's a nobody, if it's a girl that nobody knows,
yeah. No
then
one
it's mad.
cares.
But because it's her, it's added to the. Oh man,
Yeah, yeah. It's like I went on to Cardi B's OnlyFans.
right?
She's not doing anything. All she's doing is showing her video shoots, makeup, singing, dancing. That's it. She ain't doing nothing.
Wow, this is it, man.
But hey, she's got a million subscribers, mate, for £10 a month.
Wow,
Yeah, that's what it
wow.
is, bro.
Maybe we're on the wrong platform.
Charlie. But it's OnlyFans. You've got to show. You know, we've got to build it up. We're very grateful to our new subscribers. Click the notification button, share, like, comment, helps us grow. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, in our journey to be self-actualized, in our journey to become the best versions of ourselves, get to the bottom of things.
Yeah.
We've realized that we need sexual freedom
Yeah.
combined with sexual discipline.
The opposite. Hey, what was it? The law of polarity?
Yeah,
That's it.
you know, you need to create your own borders,
That's it.
but the moment someone else creates the borders for you,
Yeah.
they will create the borders based on their incentives,
That's it.
and then you lose your freedom, and then perversion has its opportunity.
That's it.
So I think that's basically the moral of the story here with all of this.
That's you couldn't have said it more rightly. That's literally it. It's you first learn how to exaggerate with your sexual energy, which then brings you back to sexual discipline. But then you've got to find a middle ground because, you know, like we discovered, if you're then housing all of this forever, it's going to cause other problems. This is all energy that's meant to flow. So there is a middle ground, and that's where the universe is taking us to balance. There is a middle ground. There is always a middle ground. It's neither there or here. It's in the middle. So yes, you do see, and I have a theory. I still need to go through the research, but I think at some point there was a group of men who said, look, we're going to transmute all of this sexual energy by ourselves, and we think women are the problem, we're going to get rid of women, or we're going to just have them relegated to unnecessary so that we can get power through sexual
Well, I think that's
transmutation and
happening
alchemy.
the opposite right now in the modern world.
Right.
I think women are saying men are obsolete.
That's also another argument. It's just we've been put one against each other, and independently of your sexual orientation, with regards to our topic today, alchemy is done between the positives and negatives, poles of our body, of whatever is around us, of our environment. So you might be a man that displays feminine, characteristics or feminine energy. You might be a woman that displays very masculine energies. There might be alchemical principles going on there, but the real offspring of that is only done between the opposed sex. If you're the same thing, there can't be life. That's it. Yeah. But if whatever you're transmuting, if you're doing between yourself, that's it. If you're doing it between a partner with the aim of just, self-growth, that's it. But the offspring is gonna come only one way. So yeah, it's it's a hard thing, and no one is teaching these youths. It's either
all out there.
yeah, it's either you're out on porn, so you're just killing yourself, or you're then going down the Catholic path, the religious path. Don't do it. Don't look. Don't touch. Hey.
Yeah.
And you're off balance.
Neither is recommended.
There you go. So guys, we've come to another splendid end of another episode. We thank you all for joining us. As usual, this is Campbell.
And this is TJ.
Watch out for our next episode. Bye bye.